Rossellini followed Germany Year Zero with something different, a sort of tale called The Miracle. Federico Fellini wrote the story, and this is Fellini himself right here, playing a drifter. The Miracle is a vehicle for Anna Magnani. In fact, it's unthinkable without her. She plays a shepherdess, a woman of limited intelligence but infinite faith.
Oh Gesù, Giuseppe Maria. Ma perché te ne vai? Non te ne andare, no. Ti posso parlare, sì. Dio, che consolazione. Bello, bello, santo mio, bello, che felicità, che gioia. Tu mi fai morire, è fatta. E mi porti con te lassù in paradiso, nella contemplazione del Signore.
The Miracle is about the question of faith, and it's a running theme in Rossellini's work at this time. I think he was trying to ask the question, how can faith survive World War II and the horrors of the Holocaust?
Tu sei passato per il paese, eh? E non t'hanno visto. Certo, non sono degni. Non sono degni, invece io. Sai che mi dicono sempre, i matti non possono entrare in paradiso. A me.
She's convinced herself that he's St. Joseph.
Vedi se Gesù.
But he's no saint. And he makes the most of the situation.
Che paradiso. Che paradiso in terra. Amata ha ricevuto la grazia. Io sto male. Sto male.
She's slow to realize what's actually happened to her. Once she does, she believes that she's going to give birth to the baby Jesus. The homeless people she stays with throw her out. The people in town have absolutely no sympathy for her whatsoever. To them, she's just a fool. Everybody has a good laugh over the miracle that's about to happen. But then, there really is a miracle. A child is born. The miracle is life. The Miracle seems like such a simple film, but it's very special because, without calling attention to it, Rossellini's communicating something very elemental about the nature of sin. It's a part of who we are, and it can never be eliminated. For him, Christianity is meaningless if it can't accept sin and allow for redemption. He tried to show us that this woman's sin, like her madness, is nothing in comparison to her humanity. It's odd to remember that this film was the cause of one of the greatest scandals in American movie history. When The Miracle opened at the Paris Theater in Manhattan, Cardinal Spellman, who was the Cardinal of New York at the time, and the Legion of Decency, that was the Catholic watchdog organization, called the movie a blasphemous parody, and they mounted a campaign to have it pulled from the theaters. Joseph Burston, the film's U.S. distributor, took his case all the way to the Supreme Court, and on May 26, 1952, the court decided in his favor. They held that movies were entitled to the same freedom of speech as the press, and they completely struck down the idea of blasphemy as grounds for censorship. Now, I've run into plenty of my own problems with censorship, so I know from personal experience what a landmark decision this was. The Miracle caused a scandal, but it was nothing compared to what happened a year later with Stromboli. Stromboli was the first Italian film I ever saw on a big screen in a theater. Even at the age of 7, you could feel the scandalous air around the movie. I mean, you can almost taste it right there in the theater. Of course, I'd overheard my parents talking privately about the details. Rossellini and his star Ingrid Bergman had had an affair and then a child out of wedlock. Now, today it doesn't seem like a very big thing, but it was back then. They were condemned throughout America And not just by the church this time. They were actually condemned on the floor of the American Senate.
Quest'inverno, poveretti, noi siamo condannati a tirannia. I like you very, very.
Just like The Miracle, Stromboli was centered around one woman and her story. And this was a problem for critics who felt that Rossellini had drifted too far from pure neorealism.
Hello. Good evening.
The fact that the woman was played by Ingrid Bergman, one of the biggest stars in Hollywood, only made matters worse. Rossellini had betrayed the movement that he'd helped to invent. Actually, he was growing and changing as an artist, but people got very angry with him. And so he really got it from both sides of the Atlantic with Stromboli.
Why do you laugh?
You're so crazy. You don't know anything about me. We've spoken to each other a few times over the barbed wires, and now you want to marry me?
Sure.
Of course, now, 50 years later, the controversy and the criticism are gone, and we could look at the movie on its own terms. In the film, Ingrid Bergman is a Lithuanian war refugee named Karen. She's stuck in an Italian displaced persons camp, and she can't go back to her own country because she's been romantically involved with a German soldier. Her visa application to Argentina has been denied, Italy won't take her, so she has no place to go.
And your occupation?
None.
One of the Italian POWs, who's a Sicilian fisherman, he gives her a way out. But then, she sees where they'll be living. Stromboli, an isolated island off the coast of Sicily.
Is it always active?
Yes. Look. The stones are falling in the sea.
And she realizes she's just walked right into a whole different kind of prison.
This is a ghost island.
New Terra. See?
Rossellini once described Karen like this.
Leave me alone.
A woman has undergone the trials of war. She comes out of it bruised and hardened, no longer knowing what a human feeling is.
I don't care about your barley, or your vines, or your new terror. I want to leave this island and go away, far away. Like all the others who lived here and were born here and went away, far away.
Oh, ma che è successo? Che? Listen, this is my home. You're my wife. You stay here because I want to.
Every morning, her husband goes out to sea with the other fishermen. And one day, she wanders down to the shore. A man comes by, and he shows her how they look for fish. Now, even though things start innocently, this happens in full view of the islanders, and for them, of course, it's unthinkable. It's unpardonable. Now, she has no idea that she's disgraced her husband. As a kid, I didn't understand a lot of what was happening up there on the screen, but I certainly understood this part. Actually, my brother explained it to me. Remember, this is a very small, closed society. They're locked on this island.
There's food on the table. I don't want to eat. What's the matter with you? Oh! What have I done?
In this world, when you lose your respect as a man, it's a real tragedy. She becomes so desperate that she'll do absolutely anything to get off this island.
Oh, you're a good man.
So she pays a visit to the local priest, who offers to help her and her husband emigrate.
Grazie.
But she wants to make sure he's going to help.
You're a sensitive, experienced man.
I'm only a poor priest.
Watching the scene, young as I was, I could tell just by the body language that something truly forbidden was being played out.
You are the one man who can give me comfort.
I'm no more than the parish priest of a little community of fishermen.
Your human qualities I can
I am a priest, and I can only assist you during confession or through prayer. All I can have for you is a deep feeling of pity. May the Lord guide you. Compose yourself. meditate, think.
The tuna catching scene is the center of the whole movie, the heart of it. You're slowly drawn into what is really the core of existence for these people. The praying, the waiting.
Wait, we have a fish.
It's as if the camera had been there thousands of years ago to record an ancient ritual of food gathering, long before history was ever written, when it was still something that was passed down from one generation to the next. It's about the sanctity of eating as a communal act and gathering food with the people you know. The food is sacred, a gift from God. The scene is actually quite long. It builds slowly, like a piece of music.
Gesù e Maria. Gesù e Maria. Grazie Gesù, grazie Maria. Did you like the fishing?
No, it was horrible.
What's the matter?
I don't feel well.
Why? You think? Maybe...
Yes, it's 3 months now. I believe I'm pregnant.
Karen, mio Dio, I am so happy.
When the volcano threatens to erupt, the islanders go out in their boats and wait it out.
Sant'Ierone, Sante Martine, Santa Nicola.
For them, this is normal. But for Karen, she's reached her limit, and she can't take it anymore. The only way left to get off the island is to actually walk over the volcano to get to a boat on the other side. Because of Ingrid Bergman's presence in the film, Stromboli was produced by RKO, which was owned at that time by Howard Hughes, who really didn't know what to do with the picture. So he cut 25 minutes and inserted a voiceover at the end, tying up all the loose ends and reassuring us that Karen returns to her husband. But in Rossellini's version, it's open-ended. What happens to Karen up here in the volcano? Rossellini once said the important thing was to find out if this woman could still cry.
Finish it. I haven't the courage.
But it's more than that. Here's a woman who's undergone a series of horrible trials and who now has a baby growing inside of her. And at the edge of the volcano, she wakes up to a new spiritual reality.
Oh, God.
It doesn't matter whether or not she goes back to her husband. This is a film about her journey, a journey that many of us may have gone through at different times in our lives.
What mystery.
Suffering, acceptance, transcendence,
What beauty.
and finally, peace. Germany Year Zero is about the loss or the absence of faith. Stromboli is about one woman's discovery of faith